Hello and welcome to the news at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities across Scotland tonight. Jailed for planning a mass shooting at his school in Edinburgh, teenage Felix Winter is sentenced to 6 years. And what exactly did Donald Trump say about former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon as he jetted back to the States from Scotland? Also tonight, Rangers make it through to the next round of Champions League qualifying with a 3-1 aggregate win over Panathinaikos. Hello, I'm Amy Ards and welcome to the delayed news at 7. A former student who said he wanted to carry out a mass shooting at his own Edinburgh secondary school has been jailed for 6 years. Felix Winter, who is now 18, told classmates he idolised the killers behind the 1999 Columbine High School massacre in the United States. He pleaded guilty to a charge under the Terrorism Act and a breach of the peace spanning from June 2022 and July 2023. Katrina Renton has more.
Felix Winter was aged 15 and 16 when he committed the offences. A large-scale police investigation was initiated in the summer of 2023 after a social media photo of him at school in combat gear and carrying an imitation gun caused panic among pupils and parents. He previously pleaded guilty to a charge under the Terrorism Act and a breach of the peace. Today he was sentenced.
Let me speak plainly. The whole material available to me indicates that it is at least arguable that you were progressing towards the brink of perpetrating a mass school shooting at the school at which yourself were a pupil. You were radicalised and your statements of intent could not have been clearer. Your violent ideation undoubtedly grew in its intensity from early 2022 through to summer 2023.
The court heard students at the school told police that Felix Winter had spoken excitedly when he talked about Columbine and other school shootings. The Columbine High School massacre in Colorado took place in 1999. 12 students and a teacher were shot dead. The court heard Winter described a possible mass shooting at his school as doomsday. He said it would occur on April Fool's Day or his last day of 6th year. And he spoke about setting up tripwires at fire exits and of placing pipe bombs at the school. He claimed he would buy a 3D printer to help construct a firearm. It transpired that Felix Winter had been dressed in the combat gear for a drama class and was taught about mass shootings in modern studies classes. The court heard after Winter was stopped by police under the Terrorism Act, officers seized devices and found files on a mobile phone about homemade firearms. He had 65 videos of Columbine. It emerged Winter was involved with the UK-wide Prevent Counter-Terrorism programme 4 times in 2022, 23, 24 and 2025. A spokesperson for Edinburgh City Council, which runs the city's state schools, said while we are unable to comment on individual cases, we want to reassure the public that we have robust safeguarding procedures in place. Felix Winter's lawyer, Sheila McCall KC, said that a risk assessor considered that he now displays remorse for offending and a better understanding of the harm that he caused. Ms McCall previously told the court the teenager was vulnerable and a transgender person, and that would need to be taken into account. But Lord Arthurson said Felix Winter was involved in a prolonged, deeply disturbing and apparently escalating course of criminal conduct and is to serve 6 years in prison. Katrina Renton reporting Scotland at the High Court in Glasgow.
Now, it was the biggest ever operation in their history, according to Police Scotland, with 7,000 officers deployed for President Trump's private visit. 4 arrests were made as part of the security operation, and the cost of it is still unknown, well as the dust settles on the trip. Comments he made on his way back to the US on board Air Force One yesterday have emerged about the former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon. I got the details from our political correspondent David Wallis-Lockhart.
Let's be honest, Donald Trump and Nicola Sturgeon have a bit of history. She stripped him of a Scottish business ambassador role. She's called some of his previous comments abhorrent. During the COVID pandemic, she urged him to not come to Scotland to play golf. And actually, when she resigned as First Minister, Donald Trump posted on social media, "Good riddance to failed woke extremist Nicola Sturgeon." So, look, safe to say they don't get on. He was speaking to journalists on Air Force One when he was flying back to Washington after his trip to Scotland. He got asked, actually, about whisky tariffs, if he was going to lower them for John Swinney, and he went off on a bit of a tangent. Here's what he had to say.
In your meeting with John Swinney today, did you offer to drop tariffs on Scotch whisky?
No, we really didn't discuss it much, but I have a lot of respect for him.
Mr. President,
And I didn't have a lot of respect for the woman that preceded him. I thought she was terrible as the First Minister of Scotland. But I think John is doing a very good job as First Minister.
Now, we have heard from Nicola Sturgeon. She's responded on Instagram, where actually she put up the BBC story and said, feeling was mutual, Donny, and said that she was proud to represent things that offended his view of the world.
So in terms of just how this visit has been viewed, how is it being seen and reflected on?
I think John Swinney will probably be relatively happy with how things went. He got FaceTime with Donald Trump. He got to bring up the issues he thought was important. We've spoken about whiskey. He also brought up the situation in Gaza and the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which was something he wanted to raise with the president, who he felt would have, if anyone does, a bit of clout to intervene in that area. It's also been probably a very good advert for Scotland. There's lots of questions about how much Donald Trump should be talking about his business interests while he's the US president. But if you're John Swinney, the fact that all these golf courses in Scotland have been, on constant news coverage probably does no harm for the tourism industry there. And just seeing Donald Trump's comments there about Nicola Sturgeon, he is unpredictable. He can fly off the handle a bit and talk in not great terms about someone. And John Swinney didn't get any of that. So he's probably going to put this down as, for him as First Minister, quite a successful visit.
A bit of a sigh of relief, perhaps, that he managed to come through unscathed. David Wills-Lockhart, thank you very much. Airports across the UK, including Edinburgh, Glasgow and Aberdeen, have been faced with delays after flights were grounded this afternoon because of a technical glitch with air traffic control. While it has now been resolved, the knock-on effect has continued into the evening. The Department of Transport said it was working closely with air traffic control to find the cause of the issue. Let's get a roundup of some of the stories you can find on the BBC News app in Scotland today then. And synthetic drugs could be behind a recent rise in drug deaths, Public Health Scotland has warned. Tests show that nitazines are being cut with heroin, increasing potency. Japanese-based company Mitsui has taken over one of the most important industrial sites in the Highlands, the port of Nink. It's central to offshore renewable energy development. And Oscar Onley, the cyclist who equalled the best ever Tour de France finish by a Scot at the weekend, has been hailed a hero in his hometown of Kelso. He finished fourth overall. Yes, what an achievement that was. Well, for more information on all of these stories, you can scan that QR code on your screen now and it will take you straight to the BBC Scotland News app. There's plenty for you there. Now, you might have been watching just before we came on air. Rangers Champions League qualifier against Greek side Panathinaikos. And after what was quite a nervy second leg, Rangers have booked their spot in the next round of qualifying with a 3-1 win on aggregate. The hosts dominated play early on in Athens, and as their fans grew agitated, they turned that pressure into a goal in the second half. Filip Juricic's header was initially flagged for offside, but was then given after a lengthy VAR check. Shortly after, Rangers substitute Jahidi Gassama restored the two-goal cushion that Rangers had earned in the first leg when he managed to find the back of the net, just like he did last week. So 1-1 it finished on the night in Athens, 3-1 on aggregate. Russell Martin's side will face either Servette or Victoria Pilsen in the third round of qualifying.
Look, it was absolutely boiling out there. You might not have seen it on the TV, but it was really hot, it was difficult. We came here 2-0 up and they've got to come out the traps flying, and I thought first half we waved the storm. We could have been better on the ball, but it's one of these things we've not been in long, and yeah, I'm proud of all the boys. Just look, it's a new team, a lot of new bodies, and that was a big win for us.
John Souter chatting there. Now, President Trump's son says his father's golf course at Turnberry deserves to host the Open again. The Ayrshire venue, regarded as one of the best in golf, last hosted the championship back in 2009. The NRA previously suggested that the event wouldn't return while Trump was in power, but have changed their stance, saying that local infrastructure is now the main stumbling block. Eric Trump has been speaking to the BBC's sport editor, Dan Roan.
I think everybody will tell you that Turnberry is the best course on the Rota. It will return at the right time. And
when,
again,
realistically, do you think?
You know, that's not my decision.
Would you like to see it there in 2028? Is that realistic?
Listen, I'd love to see it in 2028, and we'd certainly be ready for it. And if it's 2029, that's great. And if it's 2030, I mean, you know, chances are by the time an open comes back around, you know, kind of the political end is over. His time in government will be gone, and you know, we'll be back to being, you know, kind of a strictly commercial company.
And the head of the RNA said he would love to see it return to Turnberry, but there are logistical challenges, as the governing body puts it. Do you accept that reasoning?
Listen, I think any challenge can be worked through and solved with, you know, smart people. You could host the Open Championship on that course tomorrow. It's impeccable. The standard that we run by every single day. We don't ramp up for tournaments. We expect a tournament to be able to play on one of these courses any given day, and Turnberry's ready for it.
What have you done for the area?
What have we done for the area? You know, well, let's start on the West Coast. We saved Turnberry and we invested hundreds of millions of dollars into it, a property that would have otherwise fallen into disrepair. On the East Coast of Scotland, we built two of the greatest masterpieces in history, have also contributed millions and millions of dollars. This building was practically falling down. And guess what? We built 2 golf courses that will be here 500 years from now, that will still be creating jobs, that will still be attracting tourists. They'll be one of the great icons anywhere in the world. We've done a hell of a job. And for anybody to say that the Trump organization hasn't brought economic development to Scotland, I mean, it's freaking laughable.
That was Eric Trump giving his thoughts to BBC Sport editor Dan Roan. Right, shall we see how the weather is looking? Let's get the forecast then. Here is Kirsty.
Good evening to you. We've had a mix of conditions today, some sunshine, areas of cloud, some spots of drizzle and a few showers. Now this evening we'll continue to see a band of cloud and rain pushing northeastwards through Orkney, Caithness, parts of Murray and Aberdeenshire, pepping up for a time before gradually pulling away into the North Sea. And behind that, some showers following on into the northwest, clearer skies further south and east, and it'll be a very mild night. So to tomorrow, that early rain in the northeast continues to pull away, and then we'll see a fair few showers moving in on the northwesterly breeze. But come the afternoon, I think they'll gradually become confined to northern and eastern areas. Just that area of rain sitting between Shetland and Orkney, likely to push into Shetland later in the day. As I say, some showers scattered across eastern areas, more in the way of sunshine in the southwest through central and western areas tomorrow afternoon, 17 to 20 Celsius the high. Now that rain is likely, as I say, to push into Shetland tomorrow evening. Otherwise, though, it's largely dry, just a few showers in the northwest. For Friday, we have high pressure anchored to the southwest. It's extending a ridge closer to our shores and still that northwesterly airflow. So on Friday, a lot of dry weather in the forecast, and the cloud will thin and break at times to allow some brightness and sunshine. Just the odd light shower, particularly in the northwest. And temperature-wise, again, we'll peak around 17 to 19 Celsius with a northwesterly breeze. To Saturday and the weekend, well, high pressure still anchored to the south, but we will see a weak warm front moving in, and this cold front, that is Saturday night into Sunday's weather. So on Saturday, I think the best of the sunshine will be across eastern areas. In the west, more in the way of cloud and some patchy outbreaks of rain pushing into the Western Isles and the northwest during the day. Temperature-wise, though, will be up a little. That's the forecast.
Typical Scottish summer, isn't it? A mix of everything. Thanks very much, Kirstine, and thanks to you for joining us on the programme this evening. We will be back at the usual time of 7 o'clock tomorrow, and until then you can check out the BBC News app. Much more analysis of Donald Trump's trip to Scotland there for you, and I will be back with you tomorrow. Bye-bye.